excited for some of the thought leadership you have here with Dan and Joel. So go ahead, guys.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dan DeLozier from Harmelin Media, just outside Philadelphia. I'm a director of search strategy, focusing mostly on traditional search, but also the Amazon AMS side of things. Also working closely with the other partners internally that run display and video on Amazon.
I'm Joel Milani from Vitamix, Copywriting Manager.
Great. So one of the things we heard from Mike was the shift in responsibility of Amazon marketing and how it's come, e-commerce marketing in general shifted a little bit or integrated with shopper marketing and digital marketing. So how are you guys seeing that both either internally or with your clients, that integration and shift to digital?
Yeah, so Vitamix has always been a direct selling brand. We've always been direct to consumer, and so we have a lot of overlap between the team that handles our e-commerce platform and our Amazon pages. The same UX designer designs our product detail pages on .com as they do on Amazon. The same strategists handle kind of what the content is going to be, what the strategy is going to be behind that, and then the same creative team creates the creative. In terms of paid media, it's a pretty tight team at Vitamix. So we've got two people who are able to share data across all of our paid media channels, from display to Google to Amazon. And so it's a small team, but because it's small, things are very integrated.
So from the agency side, I think we tell a little bit of a different story than the brand side. Mm-hmm. I know, being a brand, you have the advantage of everything being kind of housed together, where the challenges we face from an agency side of things is working in silos. We handle the paid advertising side of things, but we miss out on a lot of the other pieces that the client is handling themselves. I'm not sure if you have the same challenges. But we're seeing more of a focus on shopper teams when we're working with the client side of things. I mean, we're handling the paid media, but we are trying to crack that nut and getting more involved and more sticky with our clients as it comes to the harder Amazon relationship that that client's already developed. We're trying to get more involved in that, become more sticky. But it's mostly working with shopper teams on the client side.
And so where do you see the goals and the budgets coming from?
Yeah, for Vitamix, the sales goals come from sales, and they'll kind of determine what we want to do for the year in terms of revenue. They sort of control promotions, sort of what we can discount and when. In terms of marketing goals, they come from the sort of like VP level, and there's actually a lot of discretion on the paid media team in terms of how dollars are spent. So there's a lot of fluidity. And a lot of really independence from that team, where they are empowered to make the decisions to move funds around and to sort of pivot when needed to achieve different goals.
And with budget fluidity, are you seeing that that goes beyond e-commerce channels to maybe paid search or paid social, or do they still kind of sit within an e-commerce shopper?
They still sit within their budgets, and there's some fluidity within them. Between channels, there is some, but that requires additional conversations.
Yeah.
Considerations for that to happen, typically.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, and echoing that, we definitely see budget fluidity as well. We're getting budgets from the client to our account team levels, and then from an activation standpoint, we're working to develop, based on the client's goals, where that budget makes the most sense, whether it's a mix of display and video or traditional search or Amazon search. But based on performance, we have the ability to move budget fluidly.
Great. And we did some research last year, actually in 2017, that found that 63% of brands were planning to increase their Amazon budgets, but only 17% had a strategy. Could you imagine going to your CFO and saying, I want to double, triple my budget, but I don't have a strategy for doing so? In 2018, we saw that increase to 28%, but we still see there's a lot of opportunity for brands to truly have an e-com or Amazon strategy. I think you saw from Mike and from Joel some strategic approaches to how they're marketing and advertising. But you want to share a bit more about how the thought process and kind of planning that goes into that?
Sure. So we work pretty closely with Amazon on on performance metrics and sort of the programs that are going to be available year to year. And it's honestly, it's a lot of trial and error. It's let's see if this works. Let's put budget here. Did we see returns? Did we not? And I think we've gotten smarter year over year. There was a lot of just sort of let's see what works at the beginning, and over time we've been able to, I think, increase the effectiveness of our Amazon strategy.
Yeah. And Dan, how are you seeing Amazon help support that kind of development of strategy or working as a strategic partner to the agencies?
Yeah, so we've been seeing challenges with Amazon. Amazon is a brand-first vendor, and they've been saying for a while that they're going to grow out kind of that agency support model, and we haven't really seen it yet. A lot of promises, not a lot of delivery. So it's been a challenge. We kind of have a revolving door of reps. We have vertical reps that tend to be more salesy than helpful. So navigating that space is difficult from the agency side of things, and that's where, again, I'll keep saying this, adding that level of stickiness and growing out what you do as an agency beyond just advertising is so important. Like getting more ingrained in the organic side of Amazon and understanding the vendor and seller central side of things, I think is hugely important.
Great. So from the relationship side with your clients and looking at the other channels that you manage, how are you able to kind of integrate? What are some of the best practices you've seen? Can you share a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of integration with some of our consumer electronics clients that we've run recently. We saw some really interesting lift. Launching a video and display campaign on Amazon produced like a 30% increase in brand search on Google. So seeing those things tie together, seeing how one moves the needle on another, really helps inform our decisions of where to shift dollars.
And are the clients and the stakeholders on your client side really understanding the impact and the strategic connection between the channels?
Yeah, I think so for the most part. I mean, it depends on the client. It depends on their current situation. Some clients rely on Amazon for the majority of sales or other retail sites, where some are relying on their own site. So, a lift in search traffic driving to the client site is great for the client that's selling on their site as well.
Right.
But for another client where that website's mostly informational, it's not going to move the needle as much because they're going to probably wind up back on Amazon anyway. So it's like kind of an endless circle. But it's all about educating the client and making sure they understand strategically what makes sense.
Yeah. And Joel, how are you seeing that, your teams sharing data or planning?
Yeah, like I said, just being such a small team, data sharing is really among the team itself. So since we have one paid media team, they're able to look at Google data, Amazon data, display data, look at what's working, look at what search terms are working, and seamlessly share the data across different platforms.
And then are you finding areas to use that data to inform actions on the other channels, or?
Yeah, and in fact, they inform organic as well. And so we're looking at highest performing terms through paid, and that's helping to inform what we're doing with SEO.
Yeah, I know you shared that good example of the titles and the on the PDP, so definitely. Great. So Amazon is fast evolving, and we see the landscape quickly evolving as well. I know being on the agency side, we're hearing about new technologies and partners almost on a monthly basis. There's always another update on a new Amazon technology that has millions of dollars of new VC funding. So it's definitely a crowded landscape, and it's often a challenge to differentiate what the capabilities are of each of those new technologies. Are they PDPs? Are they bid management platforms? Are they syndication platforms? Or are they a combination of both? And when do you need one plus the other, or what does one do altogether? So talk about how you're navigating that landscape and helping either your clients make those strategic decisions, or Joel, how are you evaluating across?
Yeah, so at Vitamix, we are pretty tool light in terms of what we're using on Amazon. A lot of it is just direct working with the platform. We do use a content syndication network for other partners, but unfortunately, I think Amazon likes to kind of do their own thing. It doesn't play nice with Amazon, and so it's web collage is what we use for Target and other retailers. But with Amazon, like I said, they are sort of like they've become this walled garden, and they prefer that we use their sort of like direct interface. So in terms of tools, we're kind of just working directly with the platform.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a constant evaluation, as you mentioned. I mean, there's new tools every day. Looking at optimization platforms has been our biggest focus, working with like a Metrics or a Metoda. We've tested all that. More recently, we're looking at bringing things in-house, and investing in programming on our back end, and really taking away that need for decisions in the third-party world, and just being able to pivot and build things internally on your own.
Yeah, cool. And then obviously Amazon's not the only e-commerce player out there. Again, in our research we found that while 85% of consumers report using websites other than Amazon, marketplace sites such as Walmart, Target, Kohl's, to find their, as part of throughout their purchase journey, whether it's research or to purchase, but only 25% of brands actually have a strategy for advertising and marketing on those other marketplaces. You guys could talk about kind of how you're looking at the other e-commerce sites?
Yeah, so other e-commerce platforms are pretty important for us. Our retail channels vary from Target to Williams-Sonoma to Sur La Table. I mentioned Costco. Costco is one that's trying to move, I think, more of their revenue to their online channels. We last year piloted a demonstration, a virtual roadshow on Costco.com, which was essentially a series of videos that attempted sort of like to mimic our in-person roadshows. So again, knowing that, so we were reaching the limits of what we could do in-store at Costco, we tried to see if we could bring that to the sort of digital side and see additional results, and they performed pretty well. So we're always looking for those additional opportunities to expand what we're doing with retailers. But yeah, in terms of retailers' websites, that's a big part of our strategy. Obviously, it takes a backseat to Amazon at this point, and with our limited resources, that's where most of our attention goes. And
are you doing a lot of the PDP optimization for the other e-commerce sites? You mentioned Webclage. How are you approaching that?
In a similar way to Amazon, we have basically standardized descriptions, images. We kind of know what works. We know what shoppers are looking for, what information they need to convert. Vitamix has a really long sales cycle. It's multiple years usually, and so it's really about getting that message in front of people time after time, and what people are typically looking for is the right price at the right time for us. They're looking for the right time to pull the trigger, and so we sort of locked it in terms of what to include on the PDPs, agnostic of channel. Models will vary a little bit in terms of what we're selling on each retail partner, but essentially we've sort of standardized messaging and other content across those channels.
And are you integrating paid media beyond video on any of the other e-com or Costco?
I don't believe so. Yeah, I don't believe so.
Dan, how about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, to Joel's point about limited resources and kind of that first dollar going on Amazon, that tends to be the go-to for most of our clients. We have worked with like co-branding search relationships with Walmart and Kroger in the past for some of our CPG clients that have performed well. But those tend to be more one-offs and test to see if it was worthwhile. And while we saw good results, we didn't see a continued investment there. There's a constant conversation with our clients of should they just let the retailers spend on their own to drive success for the retail side of things, or invest with the retailer to help drive overall results. So the focus of most of our CPG and consumer electronics clients have been on Amazon more than anything else.
So do you think there's going to be an uptick or kind of flatline on the order online, pick up in store, and how you can kind of market to that?
I'm not sure how that affects our strategy, to be honest. I think typically we're delivering the product, right? So shipping's involved, and that's why people tend to go to Amazon. Vitamix, on Vitamix.com, just logistically, we can't compete with the shipping and the shipping price and the shipping duration, which is why we are typically reserving some of the product SKUs on Vitamix.com to get some more of that direct traffic. But in terms of in-store pickup, I haven't seen a ton of that type of activity.
I was going to say same on our side. Not a ton of in-store being as important as the online piece.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be interesting. I think Kroger, as Mike mentioned, Kroger is doing a lot, but we'll have to see kind of what the consumer wants to do, how much value there is in that concierge, person-to-person specialty conversation when you have that in store versus the ease and convenience of Amazon. I want to talk about the shipping announcement that Amazon made. Joel, you alluded to it. So what do you think that's going to do for brands and retailers with that one-day shipping? And do we all really need one-day shipping? Can we be a little patient? What do you guys think?
I definitely need one-day shipping.
Always.
Yeah, I need things immediately.
Yeah, for us, it's less of a concern. Like I said, it's a really long sales cycle, so people typically, unless you're a restaurant, and if you're a restaurant, you're probably not replacing your blender on Amazon. You're probably going through a commercial retailer. But it's not like a CPG good. It's not something that you need like next day. And so that hasn't been a huge concern for us. Like I said, the bigger concern for Vitamix is shortening our own sort of shipping window and like logistically getting our operations in a place where we can compete a little bit better in terms of how long it takes for us to get the product to a customer, so we can compete with the 1 to 2 days is not really a huge difference for our customers. We're more concerned with the like how can we get it from a couple of weeks down to closer to what Amazon's able to do.
Yeah. Great. And do you think, Joel, you have a different persona shopper on your Vitamix.com versus Amazon?
I think there's a lot of overlap. It's a higher tier premium product, and so I think most of our shoppers are Prime members. We did recently do a segmentation study, and so we've sort of got some more intelligence in terms of who our shoppers are and where they're looking, and I think the majority of them are on Amazon. And so we're kind of seeing the same type of traffic to both channels. Anything
you want to add to that?
I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on clients from a supply chain and logistics standpoint, and I'm wondering if it's going to force more brands to shift to a model where Amazon's fulfilling rather than them fulfilling themselves. Adding that pressure is going to be interesting, and I haven't talked to our clients about this yet because it's a rather new announcement, but I'm curious what their take is.
Yeah, definitely changes the game a little bit. So we all know the Christmas in July Prime Day is a big deal and getting bigger each year. I went from 1 day to a day and a half to 2 days. It's probably going to be a whole week this time. We'll see. So Prime Day deadlines for planning are fast approaching if you want to participate in lightning deals. So how are you guys thinking about Prime Day from an annual planning perspective, and how are you thinking about it from a deal and discount acquisition strategy?
Yeah, like I said earlier, Prime Day has become a pretty big shopping period for us. It's a great period for return on ad spend, and the key for us has been really like identifying 1 or 2 key discounts that are just not available at any point in the year. So I don't know if those have been identified yet. They may have been, but we saw a lot of success last year, and so I think we may even increase the number of SKUs we have available on Prime Day.
Yeah, the challenges that we've found in planning for Prime Day is convincing clients that like you need an aggressive discount and you need to invest properly to make it worthwhile. Like you can't have a budget that's exhausted by 6:30 in the morning on Prime Day when the traffic increases, whatever percentage it increases on Prime Day. So trying to plan far enough out and making the clients understand that the budgets need to be there and the actual promotion itself needs to be worthwhile, or you're not going to win.
And do you see value in having a discount or promotion outside of the lightning deals, or do you think they need to be hand in hand?
I think for us they're typically hand in hand.
Yeah, we've seen the same thing.
And I know as a consumer I kept going back every hour to see like what's new, what's hot. So I think there's definitely a lot of value in searching for things that I would be buying anyway to see if I could get a discount. So definitely interesting. I'm not sure how we're doing for time.
Why don't you do a wrap question and then we'll go to Q&A.
Perfect. All right. So guys, what is your number 1 tip, suggestion, strategy you want to share with the group?
Tell us how it's done, Joel.
Oh, yeah, right. I would say just information sharing. Sharing data across teams and across individual channels has been super helpful for us. Amazon is getting really big, but for us, there's a little bit of defense that we're playing, right, to try to make sure we can still get some of that direct traffic. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest predictors of somebody purchasing a Vitamix blender is a recommendation from a family or friend, a family member or friend, and so ultimately we're comfortable with the amount of volume that we're doing through Amazon, even if the margins are a bit thinner, because more blenders means more recommendations, and so you kind of have to look at the good and bad of Amazon and accept it. It's not going to go away, and you have to kind of live in that world.
Yeah, I mean, information sharing is huge. I'll echo that. And being on the agency side, breaking down those silos is always harder. So, we're just continually trying to do that and be as unsiloed as possible, both internally and externally with our clients, and then through the walled garden of Amazon. I think moving forward with Amazon, I'm most interested in the DSP. I'm really interested in kind of their future of using that data, that insanely powerful data that Amazon has, and leveraging that across other inventory that isn't just on Amazon. As mentioned earlier, they're kind of a third party or a third tier DSP right now, but I think they're going to figure it out. They're in their infancy in a lot of things, and I think once they figure it out, it's going to be a real interesting tool.
Definitely. Cool. And so I'll just plug my roundtable later. I'll be sharing some Catalyst research over the years, both Amazon and e-com landscape specific. So hopefully you can come join me for that. So thanks, Steve.
We have time for questions. Back here.
Yeah. Hi, Killian from Thrive Market. I had a question for Joel. We've emphasized a lot of our efforts on site speed, and I wanted to know if Amazon focuses on it as well while you create your content. Have you tested small versions of content versus larger content and pictures and videos, and how was the impact on performance?
I don't think we've done variation testing in the way they're describing, but we do have a UX team who's very sort of conscious of site speed and is running performance tests on our own site all the time. And so I know that they had a hand in optimizing the content that we put on Amazon. Again, in terms of testing faster versus slower site load speed, I can't exactly answer that.
I wanted to ask about video, where you're placing video on Amazon, where you're finding it has the most impact, and where in the customer journey it makes the most sense.
Yeah, we've seen the most success with the Fire TV product. We've seen some good results there, and that running on Fire TV is where we saw that big lift in traditional brand search on Google that really surprised us. With a fairly limited investment, the amount of increase we saw in brand searches was really impactful.
Yeah, we've used video a lot in pre-roll this year. It's kind of a new channel that we're exploring. Again, we're using it within the carousel. We're using video wherever we can. It's been a really great tool for us to sort of demonstrate what the product can do, and so wherever we can use video, we're inserting it.
Kerry, guys, thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. Great
Thanks,
job.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.